This trader made 11k in just a day and wants to sell his soul for money. Someone was just continuously losing money and got a loan to lose even more. And this trader is just 18 years old and turned $5,000 into $101,000 in just 3 months with his genius strategy. And we are starting off with an insane gain by Worldline C7169, who is just 18 years old and is up by 124% or $11,123.45 in just a day. He entered into an in the money SPY put right before market close worth 9.3k and it worked. Otherwise, he opened up his Robinhood account in March and filled it with 4.3k. He's up 500% since then because he found a pattern, a strategy, and it works. Spoken like a true seasoned trader who's been trading just for a couple of months. As I said, he's just 18 years old and about to go to college, so he's going to see how far he can snowball this account. Because now that he's made this nice gain with his unlimited experience, he's aiming for 6 figures. Now usually it takes a couple of accounts until you truly become profitable, but he's not waiting. And in his infinite wisdom, he's thinking about getting his Series 65 and starting a hedge fund. Advertising his percentage gains to all of his friends will surely make them bend over and give him all their money, right? And obviously he won't stop until his fund has reached 1000% year-to-date gains. Now I honestly thought all of this was just sarcasm and jokes, but it's starting to sound more and more like a plan. And speaking like a true hedge fund manager, he said he'd be taking the money of friends he doesn't really feel attached to, and mostly all of their friends as well, as he's moving 5,000 miles away from all of them in 3 weeks, so who cares? Also, he genuinely doesn't believe he would feel any remorse. All he cares about in this instance would be his own personal gain and the experience he would gain from this. And now I know why his dad is still not proud of him. Next, we have a trader by the name of That Boy Wet, who's a little further in his trading journey than the previous trader, as he lost 10k, some of which came from a 16k loan with a 13% interest rate while making just 21k a year. So he's made a few moves on the market and turned a few hundred into 1.8k, then about 2k to 5k with what? You guessed it, options. After his recent winnings, he thought, wow, with 5k I can really take big swings at the market now. And he did. He swung his way down to being on the wrong side of every trade for like a month. He had 1 week where he bled every day just picking stocks that ended up trending up on the next week. That means he picked the few days stocks dropped by a lot. Eventually his risk tolerance built back up, so the 4.5k he still had felt like zero. So guess what he did? After seeing some banks bounce back, he bought $4,000 worth of calls on PACW, only for it to dive after news of its purchase. He was down 70% in that trade, but he had the hunger for trading more than a few $100s. So he took out a small personal loan that was advertised on Credit Karma from Discover. It was worth 16k and has a 13% rate. He put it all into PayPal, lost money, pulled it out, put half into Lucid, lost money, Shopify, and lost money. He was so scared to keep losing that he kept selling credit as stocks bounced back up. So he was losing money on upward trending stocks. He was down to 14k, then he held overstock calls which bled him, so he sold. And it unfortunately popped the next days. So he was down by $3,000. He continued and bought Room last week and it dropped. Then Lucid and it dropped. He doesn't know how to pay back the loan now, and he just figured out you pay interest during the loan, not at the end. He has to make a decent sized play soon so he can get out of this loan. He works a few jobs at a local mall, so it's gonna be tough. Honestly, how many times do you have to lose in a row before you realize it's time to stop? And even now he's counting on a huge gain to make it all back, which is why he's just hoping his new Apple Play works out. Next, we have an insane gain by ClearZero, who is up by 55k in just one trade and is deciding between paying for college and going back into options. This gain in itself is very impressive, but being up by 1,130% or $96,509.76 in the past 3 months is even more so. He's been trading for just under 3 months now, and he managed to take his account from 5k to a little over 96k now. His strategy has been using half of his account for options while keeping the other half in selective biotech companies, so pretty much the same thing. He made most of his money from trading options on on several bio and tech companies, namely FibroGen, IMGN, ZS, Alibaba, Carvana, Nvidia, Rivian, BBBIO, and now Rata, as he made the luckiest trade of his life last week when he bought 12 Rata call options with a striking price of $115 and expiration date on September the 15th. He bought them at just $6.30 and they are now sitting at around $52 after being acquired by BIIB. And the funny thing is that he speculated about this buyout because he saw this flow, which at the time was the only options volume coming in for the entire month, or 250k getting hit at the ask, and then 2 days later he saw buyout rumors from an account on Twitter. This validated the flow for him and he bought his calls shortly after seeing the rumors, and next day they got bought. And despite being just 18, he actually has an unusual but genius strategy that is consistently making him money. He likes to trade based on volume profile plus flow, or flow plus a catalyst in biotechs. Tech stocks are generally much easier as he looks for declining volume, and if the monthly chart looks good, he'll trade it. For bios, he'll play the run-up, and as you get closer to whatever event is gonna drive the stock, such as PDUFA, NDA submission or data readout, the IV on your options gets absolutely juiced and prems become expensive. He'll sell some on the way up and gamble a small decent size through, depending on how convinced he is. What he looks for in these bios is market size, potential for label expansion, previous data competition, and approvability. It doesn't matter if the data is positive if the company is unable to execute on it. Also, if there is some ridiculously far out of the money put or call flow coming in on a readout or earnings, he likes to hold his position through. This strategy worked for FibroGen, BBIO debit spread, IMGN, and Rata. He's also tried trading SPX weeklies using gamma and delta exposure, and it worked, but it was too much work and micromanaging. He looks for good volume setups through unusual biotech flow in good companies that check the boxes he mentioned previously. Having that said, he doesn't think he has the discipline to trade with an account of this size. He's gonna be a first year in college this fall, and he was thinking of maybe taking out some of the money to help his parents pay for tuition, or just park some of the money into selective stocks and keep trading options with a smaller account. Luckily, he decided to take out most of his money and is gonna try again with 10k this time. And last but not least, we have a huge loss by Jem Kalim, who learned what early assignment is today. She pretty much lost over $85,000 in one day, as she has a brokerage account deficit of $85,358.36. So what happened? Well, since she very clearly has no idea what she's doing, she's been playing around with what she thought were low risk spreads to get a feel for things. You know, like the ones that show a max profit of $5,000 and a max loss of $5. Cause that's safe, right? She obviously wasn't expecting to hit max profits on these by any stretch of the imagination. Rather, she spent hours upon hours reading Robinhood's resources and scrolling through different strategy types, lags, strike prices, dates, and so on, trying to wrap her head around what she was looking at. Eventually, she decided she was content with paying a few bucks, $2 and $8 for these long put calendar spreads to see something through from start to end in real time. She spent $10 to get some hands-on experience today and decided to skip the Starbucks run tomorrow. No harm, no foul. Seemed totally logical at the time. What really tripped her up was the spreads with $0 cost. Completely mind-boggling to her that a play could profit so much as $10, let alone multiple thousands if a miracle happened, of course, without having to risk a single penny. Like, why wouldn't everyone be doing that? Well, opening the app to find that she'd somehow managed to rack up more than $85,000 of debt in just a few hours obviously answered that question. Luckily though, her max loss at the end of all this should be no more than $10 difference between selling the short put and buying the long put. Or in other words, Robinhood exercised half of each contract and the other half will make it neutral. But it still must have been one of the most stressful moments in her life. And if you want to see how this trader made $42,000 overnight, click on the video that just popped up. If you like my content, make sure to subscribe, and if you have any questions or recommendations, leave them in the comments down below, and thanks for watching.